Hello, Ryan Garland. I am your host of The Paradigm Shift. I cannot wait to expose the true inner depths of institutional wealth building and how to dig deep into real estate investing. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. As always, I like to start off saying that I have an amazing guest, but this is a guest that you guys have heard of maybe once before, but during that time, we were really talking more about our personal lives, and we didn't really get a chance to talk more in depth about the construction side. And today we got Dennis Roberts, Paradigm's Contractor. We're going to get a little bit into the weeds about just kind of the moving pieces in the construction world, talk about tariffs and value engineering and kind of the moving pieces of Paradigm and all the wonderful projects we have going on and how much stress he carries and all the fun stuff. But Dennis, thanks for joining me today, buddy.
My pleasure.
So let's start off. I think it's going to be important to kind of give everybody an understanding of your past so people can kind of see the yellow brick road for our future. So let's talk a little bit about your very beginning in the construction world, but also when you got into it and your age, please.
Yeah, I was very young. I grew up in a concrete family. So it was plenty of labor. I was the kid out there, cleaning forms and digging ditches and doing all the things that every kid does that's part of the family. And so that gave me my first sense of work ethic, how hard you have to work to get where you need to go.
You bet.
And I remember a time when I was doing that going, geez, this is pretty hard on the bod. I don't know how many years I can actually put into this. I'm finishing concrete with guys that are 60 years old. And I'm looking at them going, they're torn up.
Where was this?
This was back in Grand Junction, Colorado, and then in Phoenix, Arizona, back in the early 80s.
So you went from cooler weather to really hot weather.
Yeah, really hot weather.
Yep.
And horrible winters where you have to cover everything every night to hot weather where you're praying that the concrete survives the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when let's talk about kind of the process for construction here, because that's something I always kind of talk about, especially when people are pouring here.
Yeah.
You guys are popping up lights at 1:30 in the morning, and you're starting to pour just simply because it's so hot here.
Yeah. ACI, which is the American Concrete Institute, has very strict guidelines on concrete placement, and one of those is temperature, ambient temperatures and the heat of concrete, the heat of hydration, how fast that happens when the ambient temperature really starts rising.
Yep.
It is so hot here, we actually exceed all the deltas for that. There is no time of the year here in the summer, at least, when you can actually place concrete and stay in that standard. So we have to exercise everything we can do to keep the temps down, place as quickly as we can, and get finished out as quickly as we can before we're losing the whole slab.
Yeah, because once that sun comes up and it starts getting even hotter,
it is not only almost impossible to keep up with, but the concrete itself really does suffer.
Yeah, and not only that, your finisher, your labor, it depends how much you're pouring, how much ground you got to cover, how much labor you have at that time to be able to, finish whatever slab you just poured or whatever you're pouring.
Exactly. And so your labor demand goes up, and you're also beating your guys up pretty hard. It's one thing to just have hard work. It's another to be exhausted because of the
Well,
we're watching that all the time.
And let's talk about what happened last year.
Yeah.
When it was so hot last year. What happened here at Paradigm?
The first year we had to actually shut the job down about 1:00 every afternoon. We had guys getting heat stroke, basically thrown up on the job, not getting dizzy, not feeling well. We can't handle that. That's not an environment we're going to ever let people work in.
Yep.
So we had to just kind of shut the job down early. You can start as early as you wanted in the morning. We're out here in the middle of the summer, so we can do that. 2-3 o'clock in the morning, it's not unusual to have the electricians out there with lights. It's interesting.
And that's what's nice about us being in the commercial space, right? Because if we're in residential communities, we wouldn't be able to, pour in the middle because you have noise violations and so forth. So we're blessed to be able to be in the commercial world, which is a big component for a lot of investors and developers to consider, especially the location, given the environment, along with the labor force and when timelines. All of that has a direct effect and cost and so on and so forth.
Yeah, every area has its challenges. If you go down to Texas, you've got rain. You go to Colorado, you have the harsh winters. Here it's just heat. And that is one of the most difficult things with concrete. The heat of hydration actually promotes that initial set much earlier than you want. You need time to work it. You just don't get the time.
All right, so let's move from concrete to what was the next step in your career?
Well, I went into quality control. I was very blessed to work with some of the best engineering minds out there. At a company called Western Technologies. They gave me an education in the concrete, asphalt, soils, structural steel, masonry, all the sciences that I never would have gotten any other way. I cannot tell you how important that has been in my life, and not only to understand the science of what we do, why we do what we do, but to have that background where I can then teach others why they do what they do.
One of the most important things, and I think we're, more of the sophisticated, let's say outfits, firms, developers, and contractors, they know the majority of the risk is in the horizontal work.
Yeah.
Which starts with your engineering, moving dirt, know, how much it's going to cost to move dirt, what's under that, underground, pulling utilities, asphalts, all those horizontals really kind of was what makes your deal. It's easy to kind of do your calculations going vertical. It's the horizontals where the majority of risk is.
Yeah. We talk about that all the time. Getting out of the hole is the most difficult process of a project. Design is time. It's just time. Mm-hmm. But actually doing the construction, getting out of the hole, that's where you are past your horizontals and now you're going vertical. It's the most difficult time on the project.
Now, to have a background like yours, of course, you're going to be a little biased in answering this question, but how important is it how important do you believe it is to have a contractor that has that type of experience working with a developer like us that's looking at it from a space of, we are looking at scaling and mass sizes. We're probably the larger of the commercial developers here in town. And how important do you believe it is to have that type of skill set as a contractor from the beginning stages, simply because we're not doing value add deals. We're doing ground up construction, entitlements, planning, buying land, and then taking it from there. How much do you think that has played a part in assisting our design team?
It cannot be overstated enough that the quality of your subs, the mindset that they have, their ability to kind of scale with us, keep on schedule, it's the most important aspect of choosing the right people. You can always get a cheaper bid. You can almost always get somebody that'll say, I'm going to do quicker, faster, cheaper. Those people are everywhere. Actually, partnering with subcontractors that can actually pull it off and do it safely with quality standards that are high enough for us and keep on schedule, that's worth what we pay them. That's totally worth what we pay them.
But I'm saying the upfront planning and stages to have your background and like the engineering side.
Yeah.
How much of a part do you think that plays in the design, beginning of the design?
Well, I think it gets the confidence of the designers that we can have great conversation right off the bat about hard topics. Which way to go with foundation design, which way to go with bearing capacity, which way to go with if structural steel or masonry or structural concrete is a better fit for a wall. It's not just understanding the materials, but understanding the environment that you're working in. So here we're sands and gravels, right? We don't hold vertical walls very well at all. OSHA doesn't even allow it. So there are some types of construction that just isn't suited for our region. I'm blessed to have been in this region for about 35 years now. And I know it in and out. So it helps a lot.
All right, I'm going to drag it out of you because you're too damn humble. Okay, so let's talk about your real experience. Okay, how many airports and runways and taxiways have you been involved in?
A lot.
Okay.
I've worked on every major airport in Arizona, Las Vegas, a lot.
Okay, so with that said, would you agree that type of engineering work, foundation, prep is probably the most difficult in the world, separate to a high-rise kind of thing?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a real challenge because, that's where everything starts. You get out of the hole properly, everything else just follows. It's easy after that.
So when we were talking to the airport out here about expanding the taxiway from a private space, what were you saying in regards to the grade, the fall, the way that asphalt has to be prepared, given the heat?
Yeah.
Let's talk about if we were going to pour, let's say, big man cave, airplane hangars.
Yeah.
And there's obviously asphalt that goes up to that slab.
Yeah.
What were you talking about the way that asphalt had to be basically prepped, poured, designed?
Yeah. So FAA has a really high standard for asphalt, concrete, subgrade soils, all that kind of thing. And it's not just a high standard, it's a very tight standard. So we don't have a lot of asphalt suppliers or concrete suppliers that can actually meet the spec. They have a structural and a non-structural standard. So your non-structural standard is for everything that's outside of that FAA controlled area. And it is treated very, very differently. When I when we found out that this was a possibility that we could get into that project, my mind started spinning. Firstly, who can we get as material suppliers that can meet that demand? So I reached out to them, and the answer was pretty much, look, we can do it, but everybody's got to be involved. It's a very difficult thing.
Now, they were talking about it was a 2% grade. We can't fall from the actual runway
down
to get all the way down to whatever locate. Otherwise, the FAA probably won't, in essence, inherit that as a cost to maintain that side, right?
Not only that, it's a safety standard. You don't want planes going down really steep grades. They're not like automobiles. They don't have the same capacity to turn quickly and brake hard and that kind of thing. They have their ability to control themselves, but the grade is super important to keep it as level as possible.
All right, so we'll keep going. So from Western Tech, what was your role at Western Tech?
So I started out in West Tech as a technician, learning the ropes of the science of materials testing and inspections, engineering, and then moved my way all the way up to a principal director. It took 25 years to do that. The education was invaluable. I worked with just some of the greatest minds. Dr. Rosner, who was head of the geotechnical department at ASU, Randy Marwig, one of the finest scientists in geotechnical engineering, Raphael Tixar, a world-renowned cement expert, Brian Castles, that's on the ACI committee. Some of these guys, Phil Felice, who just recently passed, God rest his soul, a great man and one of the best minds in asphalt in Arizona. Arizona is a very unique place for asphalt, where our UV day, those hours of UV, is so critical to understand how it works with asphalt and how quickly, basically, all the volatiles burn off. Yeah. And so you're left with sand and gravel. All over the world, they look at Arizona as a place that they can kind of use the same technology that we use here.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, China, Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
They look at Arizona as a data source to.
Yeah.
Holy geez. Yeah. I never know that. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I could see that. This is so damn hot here.
Yeah, it's really hot.
And we have was it like 3 inches of rain total in a year here in Havasu? Something of that nature?
Yeah. Western Tech was doing mixed designs for China at one point.
I can see that. And a lot of the guys, I actually had some friends that graduated high school with that ended up going to Dubai and was working on the Burj Khalifa. Mm-hmm. And a couple other big projects out there. It's ironic. Well, it's not, but it's ironic that they were reaching out to us for engineering and design and labor at one point.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like any progressive state or country. I mean, they're going to look to other countries who've already kind of invented the wheel and see how that's done best.
Yeah,
Arizona just happens to be one of those places in the world where it just kind of works.
And so, and we're going to go into labor here in a second. All right. So from Western Technology, where'd you end up going there after that?
Well, my wife at the time got me into real estate, and what a great experience that was. And I never really got out of development. I never really got out of consulting. I continued to do that through the 10 years I was really working in real estate with her. Very, very successful, a very good opportunity to actually kind of shift gears into the development and construction phase of my life. I got my general contractor's license somewhere in that 10-year period, and then started actually trying to get some projects. I didn't have to work hard to do it. So many people are just looking for somebody that really is knowledgeable and answers the phone and gives them a good understanding of how to build something. And that just kind of keyed into development.
Yep. And then you and I met on a golf course.
Yeah, we met on a golf course as the best of all stories start.
And I don't even think we talked business.
We talked personal lives. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then I think Eric told me, hey, if you need a contractor, consider Dennis.
Yeah.
And I remember I think you and I had one conversation. I think we did like a 3-way call with him about it. Yeah. And then I think, 6 months later, I reached out to you.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. Sometimes you connect with somebody on a level that you just didn't expect. And I think it was, I like to say love at first sight. I mean, we literally just connected.
Yeah.
And you called me up. It was like we were still on the golf course. We just picked up the conversation and said, hey, you want to do this? Yeah.
Let's do it. Right now we are where we are today.
Now we're doing it. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about, the 4 projects that we have going on here now. Paradigm Storage, you kind of stepped in, and I would kind of lead to say that, cleaning up after another contractor is usually kind of the hardest part.
It's difficult.
You know, obviously I cut my teeth in it having to be in the lending space, taking back properties that are mid-construction that, you know, someone may have stopped making payments on. That's when you kind of start, you know, looking at, you know, looking behind the curtains, if you will, and see kind of, you know, shortcuts were in place and just how bad sometimes these contractors just try to make their money and get out, you know? So really the idea is something this size, as far as Paradigm Storage, for you to slide in and try to make up or find out what was missing on such a big project as it was, and then take it from there was impressive. But it did take a little bit of time to kind of get our wheels moving, and then now we're off and running for sure. But Paradigm Storage, talk a little bit about just simply the method to our madness, right? How many phases we have, what's our next building that we're delivering, talk about building G in that wall. Let's talk about the man cave, and then we'll talk about the desirability of that. We'll shift over to Boathouse, because we're obviously dropping buildings today. That's really cool, and we're going to be pouring another slab here pretty soon. And then we'll talk about Dover, our family office society building, and our new headquarters, which is really exciting. I mean, dude, hopefully we'll be done by the end of the year. I want to be in there for Christmas, so hopefully you can get us in there for our Christmas party.
We're definitely going to be in there.
Okay,
I don't have no doubt about it.
And then we have barn caves and the gym, which is like a whole nother conversation. So let's just talk about Paradigm Storage right now. Let's talk about how many phases we have, you know, the sheer size of it, just so our audience can hear about how involved obviously you are, but they hear from me all the time talk about it. So I want you to kind of share a little bit about your thoughts on overall Paradigm Storage, the desirability, why we're selling them as fast as we are compared to other projects, but obviously the project overall.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, stepping into a mess like we had is difficult. Fortunately, you already had some really good people in place. They just weren't very organized. So we got those people to kind of explain to us exactly where we were at. Started looking at the project, rephased it because the phasing was really off, and just started picking up the pieces forward. Building C was the first building that we completed together, and it was tough. Very, very difficult. I mean, I like to say we jumped into a dumpster fire, and we had it pretty much extinguished by building C. And by D, we were trucking along again, but very difficult. But the quality of these builds is really where it stands out. Storage in the United States has always just been kind of a tin can. You get a door of some sort on it, and it just kind of secures your stuff. This is a completely different level. I would say it's a luxury storage unit. So it not only has great appeal, just curb appeal. I mean, it's a beautiful complex, but each one of those units is super nice. I mean, it's as good as any garage attached to your house. It's insulated, has air conditioning, has plenty of electricity. Most of them have plumbing of some sort. It's as good as anything that's attached to your house. So I'm proud of the product we have. We continue to learn to make it better and better and better. And our subs, who have been instrumental in helping us get the quality standard up, just continue to perform at a better level.
Would you consider us being probably the top performer in the storage space here?
Well, I think so. You know, I never want to discount the chance that somebody else can come in and do it bigger, faster.
Sure.
You know, that's always a possibility. But I mean, I think we've shown ourselves not only to the city, but we've shown ourselves to other contracting groups and to the city of Lake Havasu that we are people that do what we say we're going to do it well, and we get the job done.
Do you think we started the new standard of the way to build these?
It's obvious. I mean, in the retail space of real estate, I sold a lot of storage now. And before that, in my consulting career, I did a lot of storage with other contractors. So I know what they're built out of. I know how they're built. And ours is just a whole nother level. So yes, I think if you're going to compete in this space at this point, you're going to have to follow suit. And I'm seeing other competitors are actually literally looks exactly like the inside of our units. Which is nice, because what that means is that we're on the right track. That's my takeaway. It's what people want. Yeah.
And I always tell everybody that, you know, my competitors, if we're doing something, they're doing it right, we're all seeing it, and obviously we're a data source for them, and they'll be successful because there's so many people that want these units. Exactly. You really couldn't build enough.
No. And we all grew up in homes in our youth that were basically just studded. They weren't drywalled. They weren't insulated. None of those garages looked that way. And then suddenly you saw an insulated and drywalled garage. You're like, what is this? You know, this is how these have progressed. They have just gone to the highest level you can actually take it with a steel building. I suppose we could go a couple more levels up, but I mean, at some point you're just like, it's a steel building. This is the best that can really be done with that.
You know,
it's really, really quality standard.
I was interviewed by Invest Nashville, so I'll have a second publication with them. And the reason why they called me back for the second round was because they were so intrigued by a way that we're moving these units, and then how this was, in essence, a footprint of the barn caves.
Yeah.
And how a big part of the desirability for this, and a lot of our questions that people want to stay in these things and live in these things, is what made us slide into the design of the barn caves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you look at the data, like I just talked about this on the last podcast about Goldman just opened up a $500 million fund for takeout long-term financing for operators for self-storage, but more boat and RV storage. Yeah. So that just kind of tells you, look, if that's the trend and the data supports it, and you have a big institution that's now supporting the asset class and giving you finance options, I mean, that's impressive. And the interest rates are, first of all, interest rates are coming down. You probably saw that they're going to end up coming down and starting September. And I would like to think they will. But the commercial mortgage-backed security cost has come down significantly in the last 3 weeks. So, you know, we're seeing, you know, besides 8.8 leverage, you're going to 6.6 now leverage on commercial assets. When then obviously Goldman launches that fund. So you're like, okay, they're getting ready for that huge shift of boomers and multi-generational now, as far as boats and RV ownership, and how that's a trend. You can watch spending habits. You can watch what the baby boomers are doing. You can see where they're moving. You can see what they're focused on, healthcare, what have you, right? So it's not rocket science.
No.
And that's why it's so easy to collect the data. You know, and then you look at this type of stuff where the guys are building like the car caves. So going back to the interview, they were talking about these guys that they're interviewing as well that did car caves in like Tampa, Florida, and all and so they're the concrete walls, but they're selling these things for $800,000, $1 million. And that's a great demographic. That's its own niche. You know, that's higher net worth clients that you're shooting for that are really going to spend $1 million on a box, basically. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But our model is to go in there and pump these out into a lot more locations. And I would like to think if you're wearing an institutional hat, affordability is always important to hover around. You can never go wrong with affordability, you know? And so I think for us to be able to, you know, build these and then sell them for $300,000 or under $300,000, some of them are $120,000. You know, that's a big deal. I mean, the entry point's low enough to consider. Everybody wants to store their stuff and need storage, but then you can create your own, you know, private space. But if you're bolting this onto a house, you're really going to be you're really paying cost per square foot for living space. What people I think are starting to get smart on, going like, I can make my own space in the garage, and in essence, it's free living space. And that's huge, right? If you think about this right now, everybody comes here. I mean, if you, for our company, for the team, we're all here every day. We're sitting inside as we speak, my podcast studio, sitting inside a man cave at Paradigm Storage and Phase 1, right? And everybody that comes in here doesn't ever want to leave. So you could feel that culture, but everyone's coming here. So at the end of the day, think about the cost for me to have an office. If I wanted to buy real estate, I mean, my entire team that's running an entire firm, what we're doing, everything we're doing is being ran from a small little garage for under $300,000. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like Steve Jobs right now, just a little wealthier at the moment.
Well, I agree completely. One of the things I've always thought in the residential space where we're tacking on these massive garages, these homes, is that encumberment fixes the price of that home. If you can kind of think about it from the standpoint that if I go out there and buy a really nice home, it meets my needs, and then I can grow and I can retract by having an offsite garage that is going to accommodate my toys. You're not always going to have the same amount of toys. Sometimes you're going to have more, right? So I think it's a great asset. And honestly, if all of us 25, 35 years ago had started looking at storage the way we're looking at it now, oh my Lord, it would have been a game changer.
You know what? One of the secret data, I've never told anybody this, and no one I think has ever really thought about it. As soon as I say it, you're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Nobody talks about the consolidation of what people have to go into one of these units.
Oh yeah.
The amount of people that have sold other assets to consolidate to go into one space in something like this has been a lot. It's hard to collect that data, I think, from like a internet perspective, unless someone's starting to track that data. but we have been paying, or at least I've been paying attention. I know Bree is too, because she's looking at all the contracts. But a lot of these people I'm talking to, investors that are investing are consolidating and going to these things. So I'm really watching that. Yeah. And I would say, honestly, about 10% of our buyers are consolidating, as far as the larger units, are buying the larger units and consolidating. How many people do you know that are selling other storage units to buy one of our units, and it's contingent? So what they're saying is, I love your unit. I can sell my unit for a little bit less than what I'm going to buy yours. You know, and I get a lot more bang for my buck, more space. I can go tinker in there, where other places, it's too hot to want to work on your boat or your RV if you don't have air conditioning. You're not going to go work on it. So if you're someone who, like my father, he loves to save money and he'll go tinker and do everything on his own. If a battery goes out, he's not taking it to the guy. He's doing it himself. That's 90% of everybody in Havasu. So when it's really hot, nobody wants to go sit in their storage and work on their stuff. They want to go into a place where you won't even know it's 110 degrees outside. You know, that's what happens when I walk around and I'm on site every day and I'm seeing our owners and they're telling me what they're doing, and I'm taking that away. I'm really on site, boots on the ground, listening. So that's one. And so to go back before we go too far into a tangent, you know, we're 225,000 square feet. Where are we at with building F and building G, which is our last two ultimate? We're making it one phase is what it sounds like. We're almost pushing for.
Almost. Building F, and again, this is how things progress. Building F, the foundation is formed up. We've got the underground and all the horizontals are ready to go to concrete.
And what's the biggest unit in that one?
Oh, it's like 3,000.
Yeah, isn't it? I think it's like, was it 30 feet wide by 135 deep drive through? 135 foot
it's
double
stupid.
wide. Man cave.
Yeah, it's stupid. And it's got a demising wall between that and the one next door. So if you want, you can buy them both, take out that wall and just have ginormous
that would
space.
Be massive.
Oh, it's
I
ridiculous.
say we just let's leave the wall out. let's Eric said not to do any more drive-throughs. And I think that was bad. I think we should have let more drive-throughs in.
Oh my God!
The amount of people that want drive-throughs. Oh, we're gonna bash on Eric. Look, for the number one broker, I told him, hey, leave those drive-throughs open. He's like, no, you don't need any more. I'm like, watch, you will need them.
I throw them under the bus all the time.
I'm like, Mr. Smarty Pants. Yeah. Just because the data says you're the best doesn't mean you are. When it comes to my house, baby, you're in my house.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, we're learning as we go. I mean, this is also one of those industries where the consumer tells us what they want. Yeah. And they don't know what they want until they see it. Right. So we changed F from 9 units to 5. And you gave me the permission to do it and said, let's go. And I just approached you and said, hey, let's just knock it out of the park. It's a smaller building. Let's just see what happens. Yep. People are going nuts. They walk up to that thing and they go nuts. Well, they can already see the forms on the ground. They're like, what? That's 1 unit? I'm like, that's 1 unit.
Well, it's crazy because I don't know how many, tilt trailer MTIs and skaters and guys that have, $500,000 $1 million coaches that are going, hey, do you have anything? They'll spend the money. They really don't care.
Well, and we're even seeing this with DLA, the family office. People walk in there and they're like, look, I can spend the same amount of money buying a nice house with a huge RV garage, or I can build something like this and have exactly what I'm wanting. I don't need all that space. I just need a big garage, right? That's oversized at a level that is super sized. But when you see people's attitudes on that, you're like, is there a market for that? I mean,
that's exactly
do people want 10,000 square feet of garage? And people are like, yeah, I do.
If you look at all the spec homes or the customs that are being built up in the foothills, look how big those garages. You cannot go wrong going with a bigger garage.
You cannot. And
people are starting to build underground shooting ranges out here. It's wild.
It's crazy what people really want. So, yes, if we had a paradigm to do over again, we would have conceived it a little bit differently, and we would have had a different mix of sizes of units. But here we are, and like you said, F's just to the point where we got concrete now. The only thing that is kind of holding me up is G. I have massive retaining wall, and it's kind of just a staging situation, it's a sequencing problem, and we're right there. We're right there, and again, these are the we were talking about this yesterday about schedules and the demands and making sure that we're sequenced right, and then you get halfway through it, and you're like, oh, I think we can differently and suddenly gain some time. This morning I'm out there looking at it and I called Takai, our superintendent, and said, I think we're in better shape than I thought we'd be. and we'll be able to COF earlier than I thought we could.
Yep.
So these are things that you don't always see right away, but it's happening. And so that G wall is going in. Once that wall's in, we get everything going horizontal on that, and then we'll go vertical on that building too. And that's fantastic.
It's I'm glad that you brought that up, but one of the things too is I don't think people quite understand how this, because again, this isn't a standard self-storage 10 can. I don't think people understand how difficult this really is to build. It's a completely different level. And then, one thing I want to talk on too is the entry point. We have a 3,000 square foot unit. To give you an idea, people are going, well, oh my gosh, these guys have millions of dollars that are buying them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. However, a lot of people are buying these from a tax strategy side so they don't have to pay Uncle Sam.
Right.
So whether they sold a house or sold their business or whatever. So they may not have a lot of money, but they're going to use what they would pay Uncle Sam to, in essence, establish another real estate, property under their belt. So you got a lot of that. So, and that's because this is a big retirement, location. And when people decide to move from state to state, for example, California to Arizona, they're going to move all their assets, including banking and real estate, and they're going to try to keep everything tight because that's what they're going to believe, and that's where the world's going. Yeah. To add, say, for example, that big unit in F, to buy that somewhere else, you're at $2.5-3 million minimum. Yeah. Just to do a car cave that size, there's no way. Yeah. And then to add to that, like for example, Dover is ultimately a 20,000 square foot house. Yeah. But look really how fast we're slapping that together. It's a whole different level compared to this. Honestly, and it's also because of trades. Yep. We have more trades, and that's normal to build that type of stuff than this. It's such a niche across every metric of the development that it's hard to find the laborers. So let's transition into that.
Yeah, labor in Havasu's always been an Achilles heel. We're a market that's basically retirement and recreation, right? So it draws tons of people here. I mean, our population explodes during the winter and during the big holiday weekends. Which I
think a lot of people don't know. They think it's summertime when place blows up. Yeah. No, it's just the weekends when they do. Yeah. But that's where the small businesses here are most affected is during the hot season. Yeah. It's actually during the winter when this place swells up. It's all the
huge.
Yeah, the snowbirds.
Yeah, it is. And the problem is that it's so sporadic. We have a hard time keeping our kids here to continue to work in Lake Havasu. It's actually kind of an opportunity zone from state of California. I mean, most people can bring factories, small family factories here. There's a lot of that in Havasu, but they're only needing 6-7 employees to run their entire business. So there's just a problem of the right kind of jobs being available and then the right kind of people staying for those jobs. I oftentimes say we don't have an area outside of Havasu that is close enough in proximity that you can drive to Havasu and pour coffee. It just doesn't work. So the people that are living here have a fairly high living expense, and so you have to have good jobs. The construction industry has always provided a big source of income for a lot of those people looking for employment. That the quality of those salaries weren't high, though. No. It's only been in the last 5 years that we really started to see compensation started to really rise up and be more competitive with Vegas or Phoenix or places that people could go otherwise. So we're getting there, but it's still a deficit, and we're really struggling with a lot of the trades having the manpower to keep up. Yep. If we do some of the projects, and you and I talk about this nonstop, if we do some of the projects that we're wanting to do, our first concern is labor. We can get all kinds of projects. How fast can we get these people to scale with us so that they can keep up?
And that's something that I wanted to, it was funny. Somebody was asking me about that the other day. And it was kind of one of those, somebody who's kind of playing devil's advocate, right? So I kind of teed off a little bit, was talking about how they're like, how do you, with your guys' projects as big as they are, how the hell are you guys getting them done? Really? Because he was impressed on how fast we're moving. Yeah. And then your trades. And I said, well, if I look at it, everybody that we had as our subs were actually residential subs, and then went and got licensed for commercial because we had big enough, they had big enough contracts with us to then go do it. I think what you're seeing is they say it's always the top 10. It's the 10% that gets 90% of the business. Always. That's how it always has been and everything. So what what's happened is those trades. I mean, let's just call London Bridge Electric and let's just say Hot Solutions as two best examples we have. Yeah. Now they have been established in the business. I think Aaron he's been in the HVAC forever, but he just launched his own business. Yeah. I think he has a 2-man crew at the time. Now, how big is he? He's got 4 or 5 trucks. He's got 7, 8 guys. He's got a big building office now, and he basically is dominating the space. Yeah. And it was because we gave him the opportunity. Then he has buying power because he's buying a lot more units. So he's building relationships with the supply houses. Same thing with London Bridge Electric, right? And it's with pretty much anybody who we were able to tie with. But what we've had to find is the guys that are willing and able to be able to scale with us. Yeah. And the reality is a lot of times it takes money to do that, to spend money into your business. What has happened is they've been able to get to a point where they can grow at a controlled level with us, but now they have the liquidity to really help us grow. So what's happened is I'm seeing the heartbeat overall of the company on the development side kind of come together because all of our subs are there. That's why some people are going, hey, as you know, I'm going to Nashville to go look at 3 sites, maybe even 4 for the next Paradigm Storage. And the very first thing we did was, hey, will you guys go multi-state? And every one of our trades are like, you bet. Yep. For the most part, I mean, some can't, but but the 2 that like we really want, as far as London Bridge and HVAC, they're absolutely we're in. That's actually really cool because when you sit around and you're talking about this from a business growth side, business development, scalability, capital infusions, investor, interest, what have you, to be able to show literally this is the relationships we have in place, because for you to scale, you absolutely have to do that. It's funny when people go, well, how's your relationship with the city? We're like, that's a whole nother conversation. You have to have a good relationship with the city. You have to, and not a lot of people understand that's part of the development world. And that's a song and dance in itself. And that is, we have to work with our design team to play the politics. It's a lot, and I don't think people quite understand how much you have to spend on focusing on your reputation, saying you're going to, whatever you do. Yep. That's how you're going to get to a business that people are going to trust, because you are going to call upon these guys when things are hard, and we're all going to have to come together. And we've already done that and have been tested. Yeah. And that's where trying to build a well-oiled machine, that's the real inner workings of a company. That's kind of that, selfless, come and talk to people, being humble, not being too arrogant and cocky. Like, hey guys, like this is what I'm trying to do. This is for my family. I'm trying to scale this business. I have people that are relying on me. I have people that are really hoping they can make some good money. I want to make good money. I want to have my sons run the company. The list goes on, but that pours down into the energy that goes down to the labor force. So from a retention side, our subs are now getting bigger and longer contracts, that the laborers are going, cool, longer contracts means consistent income. And all these trades and laborers I hear bounce all over the place because they just don't have big contracts. So, and of course, Havasu's grown so much over the last 5 years in development. So ultimately the whole entire construction base has just exploded, and there are a lot more new people, and it's been actually doing really well. But that is something that when you choose your trades, how are they also treating their laborers? Are they paying them well? And you hate to say to judge a book by its cover, but what kind of cars are they? How old are they when they're there? Are they wearing their nail bags kind of thing? Like, it's a lot, and not a lot of people understand how many moving, and politics, and then intuition comes into play, and experience is everything. And that all, is important. So, okay, I keep going on tangents because I do that from time to time. But let's move over to building G again. And what do you think? So we're going to do F. Well, COF. How far along do you think we'll be in building G? Just roundabout from completion of F to where do you think we'll be with G?
The wall is going to dictate that, but the wall is moving along quickly.
Yeah, we already started the wall.
Yeah, we started the wall. And I really think that we are going to be very close in the first quarter of next year of delivering
the building.
Yeah, delivering it. I think that's reasonable. We may be able to beat that. Right now, we've got a lot of extra exuberance, I guess, with the trades, right? So they're really rolling. We've got our erectors full force. I mean, Boathouse has taken up a lot of that capacity, and then keep asking them. I said, "You're going to more," and
just for us,
he doesn't flinch. He doesn't. So as long as all that can work, I think I think that's a very reasonable expectation.
So building G, which is everyone's favorite, and it's funny because I wanted to bring this up earlier. Our larger units are selling faster than our smaller units.
Yeah.
So people are looking for those larger units.
Yeah.
Building G and F are nothing but large units.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I do believe with how the size and even the cost for each unit at being higher than the smallest one we have, I believe that those are going to sell fastest overall. In fact, I think when we start, once we start marketing the delivery date for G, I think we're going to start filling those. I would almost put money on it that by the time we see OG, it'll almost be fully sold.
I would love to see that.
I could see it.
E,
especially as the market shifting.
The large units in E went very, very well.
Yeah.
So I think that's the formula. I really do. You can't underestimate the capacity. Big.
Yeah.
Just people want it.
And there could be a shift where as many small ones as we have, we went the opposite, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have more big ones and we do small ones to shift that percentage around.
Yep.
We can even get down into the nitty gritty and kind of look at speed to delivery to marketing and see how fast those were selling compared to building the awareness of the escrow.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. We'll get down into the weeds, as you know, on the data side.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that said,
the next units in Nashville, that'll be another learning curve.
I haven't even showed you the sites.
Yeah,
I've already been. So last, I got to show you one site now. If the site,
it'll be a huge learning curve too to see. Are they also wanting those large units over the smaller units? We'll learn that very, very quickly.
Yeah. Well, the first site I'm looking at is it's 7.96, so just under 8 acres. Right. It was an original bowling alley. It's all torn down. It's flat, but utilities are pulled to it. Wow. It's up against the highway.
Love it.
It's 4 minutes to the launch ramp in Old Hickory in Nashville.
Nice. Oh, I love it.
Hendersonville.
So the nice thing about doing larger projects like that, even this project, is we can kind of judge based on the buyer's desires on one building, how we should probably proceed with the rest. I don't know of any other type of building where you can make the shifts this quickly, but in metal buildings, if we wanted to change our mix, our ratio of small to larger, we can do that almost on the fly. All we have to do is get the foundation right, and then we can as-built the steel building to the foundation. So all we have to do is do that minor change. It's not that big to be able to shift a project.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go over to so building G and F will deliver this whole project will be completed, just say, latest first quarter next year, maybe even earlier. Mm-hmm. And so that's all going smooth. Yeah. We're going to be pouring the foundation next week.
F.
Yeah, F on the next one. Yeah. And then, okay, so let's talk about Family Office Society. I think that's kind of the new hot topic right now. Everyone's kind of seeing that thing moving fast and knows that we're building our headquarters there, and everyone's starting to really see what Paradigm overall is trying to accomplish here. Yeah. And they're like, wait, hold on, what's this building? So let's talk a little bit about the building. So why don't you just kind of give the story about my phone call to you going, hey, I found a spot. We got to buy this thing and build one gigantic man cave.
Man. Yeah. Yeah, no, you did. You said, hey, I'm looking at this property. The plans are already in the city. We're going to have a permit right away. And let's go. So I go over to the architect's office. We sit down, we look at it. I'm like, this is beautiful. It's gorgeous. And we close escrow on it. And then you call me like on a Saturday, probably 2 weeks later, and go, hey, can you come by the office? I got a couple things I want to change. I'm like, oh my Lord. And we did. We ended up doing some changing to it. And that cost us a little bit of time because we had to go back to the city and all that kind of thing. But we added a gob of square footage to it. And that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think the bigger the better. And plus, the space was already there.
It was already
there. We just had to repurpose
We
certain
never changed
flooring.
the footprint. Mm-mm. Yeah, we never changed the footprint. The interior changed a little bit. And fortunately, we got through that process. It was a little longer than
I would consider that a value engineering play.
It is a
because ultimately, if I don't have to change the footprint, but I'm able to find square footage, that's a value engineering.
It is a value engineering play. It more importantly it not only was a value engineering from just the use of space, it lifted the whole ethos of that building up another level. I mean, it's just a better building for it. It was the right way of dealing with it.
I think even the way that is designed feels amazing. And then all the way we're creating the stairs for the space that we found and just what it would look like overall. It's going to be stunning.
Yeah, it was a great utilitarian building under the design as we bought it. We've changed it to something on a whole nother.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like it. No. Yeah, which is nice because we're actually going to get a pretty good jump in value. And that's nice to see that we're building a building. How many times have I told you that other people are calling us to build these buildings now? Yes. So that may be something we bolt on just to go have fun because we're building these this fast pop these up everywhere.
Yeah.
Move on.
We could go do some minor changes to it and duplicate this just anywhere.
Yep,
And especially
literally.
if we don't have the height restrictions that we have here in Lake Havasu and other places and some of the zoning requirements, it'll be a piece.
Don't make me go down like a rabbit hole of dreams because that's like a whole other, hey, let's put a bigger chandelier.
Oh
over
my
here,
gosh, I know.
That'd be really cool.
Never ends.
But talk just what's the size of it? Where's the location? Just let's talk about the overall kind of area. Because what's funny is at first I was a little shy of the area.
Yeah.
But then now that I'm there all the time, I'm like, I think this is a great area.
It totally worked.
Yeah.
It totally worked. And it was industrial, and the land was literally a porta-john storage facility. That's what we bought.
Yep.
So it didn't have the curb appeal that we really would like to see when you're selling a piece of land, right? But we saw the vision of it. And once we got the building up and we were able to stand on those decks and see this crazy view and look at that massive garage, and then the buildings around us suddenly kind of changed. I mean, they're not dumpy at all.
No, you start looking at them differently.
There's nice storage, and on the other side of the street, we have a beautiful building up above us. We have a yard down below that is begging to be bought. And someday we buy all, we'll probably be grabbing that land at some point. So, it's a different street to be building such a beautiful building, but honestly, and without being biased, it'll be one of the most beautiful buildings in Havasu.
Yeah.
It's a really good looking building.
I would agree. It was, you know what I love probably the most, besides the location and the view, which I'll talk on in a second, is the fact that I love wakeboard boats. And there's like a Mastercraft, mechanic dealer right there on the corner. And I come around the corner during business hours, and you're like, that is so cool to see, because Mastercraft is like one of the best boats, so it's really kind of cool to see that. So I feel, and then when you're out to go up onto, even when you're out in on the deck or outside, or, you're in the back of the unit, you can hear people start their boats at Windsor Beach. We were literally, I don't know, what do you want to call it? 200 yards as a crow flies to Windsor.
Oh yeah. Something
about 200
like
yards.
Yeah, something like that. And it's an expansive view. It's not like a little piece of lake view. It's expansive.
Well, I think, I mean, we have at least, I would say, close to a 180-degree view from the second floor.
It's big.
And then I would say, that first floor in the break room is that actually, believe it or not, when you walk into the building and you look out there and you're like, wow, that's actually a pretty impressive view. So like the way that even the columns are designed in the back, you could still see through them, and you only see lake through the columns.
Yeah. It's a good
it's pretty cool
building.
to see.
It's a good looking, and it's going to be beautiful the way we're outfitted. It's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah. No, it's I agree.
But we got total 19,000 square now with the mezzanine.
Yep.
So we're still on the 15,000 square foot footprint.
But found 4,000 extra square feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a huge amount.
Imagine going,
It was again, a relationship with the city that we had built previous, allowed us to do that as a plan change. And thankfully they allowed that, and it worked out perfectly.
Hence made a little bit more money because all that upfront work we did building a relationship with the city. Yep. Agreed. So we're looking at trying to complete that by the end of the year as well.
Yes.
Right now we're fully framed up. MEP's in place.
We got another week of that, and then we're going straight to installation, drywall. It's moving.
We are moving. Okay, so let's go over to Boathouse. So this morning, we get down there. They're delivering one or two buildings.
Yep, we're dropping buildings. A total of 3 trucks today, 1 truck tomorrow. Thought we might get 2 trucks tomorrow. We'll still see. The building drop is what it is each building is called a kit. And it takes several trucks to deliver that kit. We don't always get the trucks in sequence for each building. So 4 buildings are coming all at once in different parts on all these trucks. So it's quite the process for Takai to figure out what goes
It's
where.
a lot.
It's a lot. But we got 2 of those slabs down. We've got 2 getting ready to be placed. We'll be placing building D shortly. A will follow. And all the slabs will be down. We're finishing up the last of the final grade, and we'll start doing the pavement.
We're going to try to have that up done by the end of the year too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we'll have a problem at all.
No, we're there.
Now we're really moving. So getting out of the hole, now we're out of the hole.
Yep.
So this is,
it was a huge challenge. We really had some kind of ridiculous engineering issues for something that simple.
No, we won't bring those up quite.
We won't go on that.
Because it's a little political. We'll kind of leave it there. So from Boathouse, obviously that's a good one. That's really more of under our brand anyway. So that's a kind of in and out deal. And then let's talk about kind of the word on the streets about the gym and the barn cage. I mean, that's probably, I feel like that's our new, identity as a
Yeah.
company. They really,
Yeah.
a lot of people know me from the lending side,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
that I think that's the new identity.
Well, I think so too. The marketing that you guys do in general have elevated the gym to another level of not just an idea, but people are waiting for it now,
Mhm.
right? And that's important. When people are waiting at the door, going open, open,
Mhm.
that's really where you want to be, and that's where we're at. People love this concept. They love the idea. There are skeptical people. There are cynics out there, but I think the majority of people go, "Yep, this is the right place and the right time to do it."
It's funny. Well, yeah, I would agree with you. I'm actually getting more people writing comments. Because you always have people stay out of our city,
Yeah,
stop building
yeah,
old school
yeah.
people, and that I get it, right? And no matter where you go, you get that. By the way, but then you have a lot of people that are going like, finally,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
shoot, if Havasu had a gym like that, I'll be there way more often.
Well, it elevates Havasu.
It does. Yeah. In fact, I mean, you see our projects being marketed and using for PR.
Yeah.
For what other developers are doing in the area as well.
Yeah.
So when you're using Paradigm's Barn Caves, the gym, and then Paradigm Storage as a conversation piece for the data and for PR, that's when I became very proud of what we've created.
Yeah.
And I think we were perfect timing leading north on a development. I would like to say that this was really the one thing that started to kick off the north side, finally get it moving.
There is a lot of activity.
Separate to, obviously, the Refuge has done great with their kind of golf stuff they got going on there and their pool. They added a lot of value there. And then North Point Viewpoint was perfect, great location.
Yep.
And then you have the guys down there towards the 40. They got a lot cooking over there, right? And Havasu Heights, I believe, and so forth. So now that we came in and took so much land down, I mean, let's just kind of talk about it. So between Paradigm Storage, the Barn Caves, the gym, we're about 750,000 square feet.
Yeah.
When you look at the mall, Dillard's, Walmart, this whole area, the retail side, 730,000 square feet. So in essence, we came in and are developing the same amount of square footage under roof as that entire mall here.
Yeah.
That's an institutional play.
Yeah.
That's saying, hey, we are seeing a massive a growth potential, and we want to get in front of it, and we're going all in, basically, is what that was. And I do believe that was the right play.
I do too. The north side is the growth corridor of not only Lake Havasu, but of everything that is going to be Lake Havasu that hasn't even been annexed yet, all the way down to the 40 someday, right? Those that are starting to see the writing on the wall, that is everybody looking for land now. Everybody is conceiving some project out here. The mall site, which unfortunately was,
the timing was rough. That was the worst part.
It was not anything that the mall really did. It just happened to be recession.
It was CO'd in 2008, didn't it?
5.
Oh god.
5, 6, right in there. It just was horrible timing, and nothing that they did very wrong. It just kind of like the pandemic. It changed. No, they just never got out of it. There's businesses that completely changed by the pandemic. Well, the mall was completely changed by that recession. And it's just now starting, and it's got some great management, but it's just now starting to see a revitalization. People are looking at it differently. People are looking at the land around it differently. They did the right things by getting themselves out of that heat.
What it was is that all of the locals and local businesses were looking at that place going, hey, that thing's got, it's under a black cloud is the way the mall has been pitched to everybody out here. I think what's happened is you have such a growth kind of component now. You have all these people coming in from California, a lot of developers, you got a lot of smart people, and they're looking at this going, wait, hold on. This is going to eventually pick back up because it always does. It just needs density. And you're seeing its growth already. So when you sit down and talk to the owner, he's like, here's our private traffic study. Here's what we really have going on here. All of these buildings are actually taken. And you're like, wait, what?
They don't know it.
People don't know. They're actually, I don't think there's many available stores over there or storefronts. So.
Well, and when the PD changed all that, when they got out from under some of those mandates they thought they needed to kind of protect the mall as the mall, it allowed people to kind of look at it in a completely different way. I can't say enough about the management of that facility.
They did great.
They're doing a great job.
They've done what they're doing. I mean, bringing in a 30,000 or 40,000 square foot, brand new high level technology surgery center.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You're like, wait, hold on. In the mall, you have what in that building? And you walk, remember you and I did that tour?
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
I mean, we ended up walking into this thing. This was a big eye opener for me about how healthcare is becoming more important, of course, here, and that people are actually doing something about it. I mean, it's not our space. I mean, we could build buildings for them, but it's not our space. So I want to stay out of it for a while.
Yeah.
But that was something I knew was always going to be an issue. So when you see somebody going, hey, I'm going to dump $30 million into a surgery center right here on the north side, that really opened up my eyes too. He's seen something we want to know too.
Yep.
And that is such a big deal when it comes to the retirement community. And, it's funny because I was telling people the other day, I'm 40. I feel like I'm old, man. I feel like I'm just so old. and even I'm more focused and spending more money in my own health. Yeah. And as you get older, that's what typically happens. Yeah. And I was telling someone the other day too, I think what you're seeing due to the vaccines and what happened with the pandemic, people don't believe in big pharma anymore, and neither do regular physicians in many ways. Yeah. And so they're just kind of guiding their clients, hey, going back to eating clean and working out, that's really the only way to do this.
It's a great shift.
It is.
It really is. It needed to happen for a long time.
It did. Yeah, we could go down rabbit hole on that one for sure. But that was something. So where I'm going with this is that's the potential that the mall has that a lot of people don't know. Yeah. And then really the only way for that mall to grow is development now. Yeah. That's it. You got to, there is available land there, but that's the only way for that mall to grow is create the density. Yeah. And so now for you to bring in a restaurant, you got to build the building to bring in a restaurant. There's no, there's available space to lease up and bring in restaurants. Right. So the infusion of capital needs to be a significant amount more. Yeah. And what's happening is when you have guys, this isn't a qualified opportunity zone. When you have guys that understands that money's going to look at stuff like that and are looking at more long-term plays rather than short-term, because qualified opportunity zones are 10-year investments. Yep. So people are, investing their deferred tax hit, if you will, into those funds. And guys like me are going, hey, this place is going to grow, but it's not going to grow as fast, but let's get on the front lines of it now because it's coming. And then we can build 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings and it's a 10-year play. It gives plenty of time for that. And then when you go, oh yeah, there's 630 acres that was just purchased by the largest residential builder here. And now they're chalking it up to the other large residential builder here. And there's going to be probably close to 3,000 homes. Yep. When you see a takedown like that of $10.3 million, 630 acres, right next to, literally 2 left-handed rock throws away from us. Yep. And you're going, okay, there's no questions that this is where the development's going. Yeah. Yeah. It's the only available land out here and the desirability, everybody wants to be out here.
Yeah, it is. And it's taken some time for that to all take off. When I moved to Havasu in 2006, one of the first projects I did was right next to the airport, right below there, the business park. Never really taken off. We've got a beverage company in there that does bottling. And but there's so much capacity, so much opportunity to go in there and do something special. And I think people are just now starting to see that. They're starting to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's talk about the gym. Even further. Let's talk about the design of the gym. It's so amazing. We engaged with Stephen Beagle. We obviously have Rob Sampson over at Selberg, which is really going to help us start the footprint and took my late night calls and the brain damage to come up with what we did come up with, and then we fired it over to Stephen and say, hey, let's engineer this thing. Let's talk about the square footage, the size, what we're building, what's in there. Let's talk about that real quick.
30,000 square feet, 2 floors, parking structure. It's actually a beautiful building. It really, Stephen knocked himself out designing something that just really unique, very special for Havasu. It will complement the Barn Cave project behind it, and it's just going to really transform the way Retail Center Boulevard looks as you drive down it and as you head towards the mall. It's gorgeous. It's super techy. High-end gym that'll have all of the bells and whistles. We'll have all of the, not only great equipment, but all of the recovery equipment now that everybody's really wanting. We're trying to engage with some, I guess you'd call them functional medicine people to come in and maybe provide some chiropractic care, functional medicine.
I haven't even really shared that much about that opportunity.
I know. The opportunity is there. I cannot wait for it, because that coupled with the medical activities that's going with the mall just makes sense.
Oh yeah.
It just makes sense.
For sure. Yeah. And then I think they're supposed to do like a little sports center indoor. Is it batting range?
I just heard about that. Like a kind of a D1 batting
facility. Yeah.
right there in the cinema.
So I think they took over 3 or 4 different
of the
movie theater
spots,
yeah.
Yeah, I just heard about that. I think it's fabulous.
That's actually a lot of square footage.
Well, the whole movie industry is changing periodically. So
for sure.
I mean, we've got a Buffalo Wild Wings going in there. So
it's growing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about the pool? Let's talk about how cool that pool is.
The pool's amazing. Again, this is where partnering with really great subs has just been fantastic. And Sandcastles over there has just knocked it out of the park. We have a beautiful rendering and design of a Dubai-inspired pool. You've been really instrumental on what exactly you want on that. And so we've got this great architectural piece in the middle of it, just like Dubai Club Drift, right?
Yeah, Drift.
Just looks. And it's going to be special. It's going to look beautiful.
I think a lot of people are underestimating how much of a spa feel that is, because we're going to put a wall up, right? Because that's, in essence, the building faces north and south.
Right.
So when you come off Retail Center Drive, you're really parking and going into the north side. So as the sun sets to the west, you're kind of overseeing the lake, which we have lake views from the second floor. The building is, let me go back. The pool has, because it's facing south, which for those of you that don't know, the Barn Cave site, this gym site, is right next to Paradigm Storage. So in essence, there's a FEMA storm drain spillway that goes right between the parcels, but that's it. In essence, we share a property line. So the south of the building where you come out with the pool is facing the north side of Paradigm Storage, which, look, it's a metal building. It's not that pretty. Right. Now, we did do pretty cool stuff, putting the Paradigm on the air conditioner covers, but you can't see it. It's just kind of funny.
It is a good looking building.
It is, but with what type of culture I'm trying to deliver,
right.
We're going to have a wall up with like its own little, kind of like, in essence, what would you call, like our own palm trees, and just very peaceful
garden area.
Yeah, and just kind of close that off, so you don't see the ugliness of that building. Yeah. But I think it's those decision making that's really going to allow people to feel more comfortable. Yeah. It's not as wide open, but it will feel a lot more comfortable. Yeah. A little more secluded, private, And then we full recovery center, and then let's talk about the kind of the construction of the parking structure, and that this is actually the first parking structure.
Yeah. So this is a cast in place concrete combination structure. It'll be PT slabs. That's post tension slab. So it's pretty techy. We had to do that over precast because we had headache issues with drivability and getting cars into the lower level. So it's a fairly demanding concrete project. We're partnering with one of the best concrete companies in Havasu and with one in Phoenix to hopefully get us in the place where we can build this quickly. We're still looking for more proposals for that. So the rest of it's a structural steel building along with vertical concrete and masonry retaining walls. So it's a combination of everything, but the basis of the building is structural steel.
Perfect. And then obviously it's built into, like, the first floors actually go into the hill. So in essence, we're on a foundation that has a huge retaining wall, which is ultimately this first floor, the bottom floor's east side of the wall of the building. So therefore, clearly it's underground in essence. And then the second floor, I think we have very small windows, which will be nice because the way we're going to design the gym itself, that those side of the building not only won't have a bunch of sun coming in the morning, but it'll stay a little cooler, for longer in the morning, especially during the summer. And then obviously the parking structure. How far is it from the building? 1 foot?
Yeah, it's very close.
Yeah,
very
close.
Tight. Yeah, we have restrictions on how close we can be, so we're right there on that line. And the building, you were going back to saying, we have exposure issues. We're using a Kingspan styled panelized system that is highly insulated. It should help with the heat load on.
Yeah, and those are kind of cool because you drop them in with the crane.
Yeah, they're big. They're big and very, very well insulated.
Yeah, and designed for that building, custom built for the building. Yep, I love it. So, and then it's hard to explain maybe here, but I want you to picture, if anybody knows Paradigm Storage, the Paradigm Storage from the center line of the street, the elevation is 14 feet below grade, I believe.
14 feet.
Yeah. So when you come into the driveway, you got to go down into the development. Mm-hmm. It's the same concept for the barn caves. You're going to come in on the north side of the gym to go into the main gate into the barn caves, but it does have a grade that drops down. About, I think it'd be close about 14 feet or so. And so what happens is for the way we're setting it up is our let's say our members for the gym can actually go down and park underneath into the parking structure, and then separate to that going underneath and parking there, so can our residents if they have a car or they have a golf cart and they just want to go to the gym in the morning, go to the pool, what have you.
Gate, go right underneath.
And then if they don't want to go through the gym, they don't have to go through the gym. They can just walk up into the pool privately. They don't have, so the residents have access to all of the amenities, but they have kind of either first class kind of coming underneath the parking structure in their golf cart, or they get to go up around the side of the back of the building, which no other members will actually have access to the barn caves overall community. But man, I can't wait to see that once the gym is done and we get all the grading done for the barn caves. I can't wait to see what that would look like as a resident, driving up to the gym. Because it's just going to be, so tall.
Yeah, it's a big building.
Because of how, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And then the barn caves I thought was nice, just kind of give even like the latest and greatest. I mean, we met with Unisource the other day and our civil engineers, and I think what was it I can't think of the name. What's the energy guys?
Unisource.
No, the other guys. They're the clean renewable energies. So really the idea behind that was for solar. Yeah. And it looks like we figured out what we need to do and how to do it and when to submit applications and phasing it in. That was really fruitful. But it's nice because even those guys are excited to see what we're building, and they're like, so that's not normal, getting in front of it, having a big meeting with everybody. I think that was our second one. And it was about the same situation. But now that we're farther along in the design and really the phasing of it, they were like, okay, let's get into the trenches now.
Yeah, and you can't get into the trenches more quickly. I mean, we it's time. We have to be in there right now to be on time with all the other construction activities.
It's pretty cool because we got a pat on our back the other day from a couple of people that I was on that podcast, and they were saying that they can only imagine how much design energy kind of went into the barn caves in the gym, and not only from two different architectural firms, but a lot of professionals that have done stuff like this and all kinds of other different walks of life, but. Even us on the Paradigm side, the amount of energy that we went into this and the amount of going back, especially with Rob in the beginning, because I started really with Rob. And like I said, the poor guy took all the brain damage. But, going back and forth with the design, and then I really leaned on him on setbacks and how many units can we get? And therefore, I need to get this many units to make it profitable. And, I got to make it look nice. And I want to use this trendy thing, and obviously let's go with steel buildings. I'm seeing an insurance issue. So even before the big fires in California, we were already seeing the difference between insurance costs for the homeowners at the use of the in buyer, right? The homeowners to insure their home for regular homeowners insurance. And the reason we were able to catch that is when I moved headquarters to Nashville, as a lender, I started doing a lot of hard money loans, obviously out there, back east. And barn dominiums is a big deal. So I'm looking at barn dominiums as regular single family homes, and they were coming over as loan requests. So as I'm reviewing the construction budget, I'm looking at the insurance costs. The insurance goes down for the contractor, and then the insurance was lower for the homeowner at the end of, once it's got CO. And I was like, okay, we need to probably stay in that space. Because again, we started the design of this not knowing which way the elections were going to go and which way the market was going to go. And I looked at it from a sustainability side for Paradigm, but also for my current investors, because I have I know what their need is too. So I'm like, all right, so let's go into it. So what's happened though is it's morphed. Remember I tell everybody, oh yeah, I came up with the original design for Jamie, which is one of my best friends out here, single mom. I've been friends with her for, 20 something years. And I said, single mom, I want to build it for the affordability. And then obviously we couldn't get the density that we really, because we were shooting for like 140, 150 units.
We were way high.
But we couldn't even get close. We moved down to 93 units. And I go to Jamie, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't think you can afford this anymore. And she's like, you're so mean. I'm like, hey, listen, take it up with the utility company. They want half my land for easements.
Exactly.
So I said, now it's not as affordable because I have to kind of, so what was happening was, it was that song and dance of like, okay, well, I can't get as many units in here. So then how do I design the building in a way that's desirable to get the value that we need to still make it work? So it was the song, it's usually the other way around. It's just like, I know what I can build. I know how many units I can get there. And then it just kept morphing down. And so we're like, okay, so now I got to go more grand. And I got to widen the building. So it's like, and it was not a little bit, it was massive amounts of adjustments to get to what we want and what's comfortable. Because that's probably the hardest part is like, what's actually comfortable. So yeah, it looks great in theory, but like you need an example, and there's no other examples like this, but we look at other sites and lots, and I've traveled, and you know, so I'm kind of like looking at all of it going, okay, we can go 28 feet wide. I think that's like the minimum, you know? And then I think we go with the third floor. And if we're going to go with the third floor, that you have to go up to a third floor, we got to have an elevator given the area. Plus, you know, our lid here is like 16 feet in the first floor. That's like 2 stories right there.
I know.
So people are going to want to, and then you're in a retirement community, right? Like nobody wants to hike up 4 stories of stairs, really, right? To get to the third floor. So, and then, okay, if we're doing that, then we need to make the third floor the master suite, where it separates you from the house. You got this huge vaulted ceiling. So there was just so much energy going back and forth to be able to make it work. And then we were able to get the square footage and the density that we wanted. So then looking at it from a data side going, okay, we could sell these for easy over $400,000 or $400 a foot, but we'll stay just under $400 a foot to be conservative. And then testing the waters. Once we had a pretty good rendering and we started pushing it, people are like, we love it. We got to go.
I don't know.
And it morphed. It just took off.
I don't really know. I credit Chip and Joanna Gaines with the whole barn cave word.
Oh,
right?
Barn-dominium
word. That's correct. And I don't really know. I don't think anybody really knows who actually came up with it, but they claim to, and I kind of agree with it. But I think that it somehow resonates with something inside of you, whether you've ever lived in the country or not, whether you've ever been on a ranch or not, or farm or not. It's something inside of you says, I want a piece of that lifestyle. And people can't get enough of it. And I love it because I think it's unique. It's a way to build, in the way we're doing it, it's a way to build and still stay modern, but keep a lot of that, I call it kind of a country culture still involved. I love it. And people seem to really resonate with it. I can't believe the demand that we're getting just from people who say, look, if I can get to the point in my life where I can afford one, I want one. And then we also have the people that say, give me one right now. You know, it's amazing. I'm very proud of that product. And Steven has knocked himself out, not only with what we call the 40 by 90, which is a big oversized unit that we designed, but a lot of what we learned in designing that, now we're taking down to the actual unit build. And it's beautiful. It's going to be something to see. It's not your normal spec.
I try to tell people, I'm like, I think you need to understand how tall these are.
That's something else.
It's like, and I think the best part is that the driveways are 60 feet. Right. And so the big ones for where the RVs are. And you're like, you have to have driveways that wide because these units are 43 feet or whatever they are tall. I mean, that's 4 stories is what that is. And so you're looking at it going, wait, hold on, this is a 4-story building, but it's really 3 stories with a pitched roof. So you need to understand how it's, even from the second to third floor, the ceiling height is high. I mean, huge. Everything it's going to feel so much bigger than 3,000 square feet. It's going to feel unbelievably big. And then even from like looking out, I think what I loved when I was in my apartment in Nashville, because I was on the 26th floor and just that view out the glass, you know, is just amazing. I can feel what that would feel like when you're on the second floor on your balcony, right? Where you open up the slider and you go out onto the balcony and you're like overlooking your big garage onto a 60-foot driveway. And you're sitting there going like, this is pretty high. You're already 3 stories up.
It's huge.
You know, and then imagine being in the master suite onto your own private balcony of the master. And you're on the 3rd story now, which will feel like you're on a 4-story roof building, you know. Oh my goodness gracious, this thing is really high. So when you actually think about it, it's this community is actually going to feel a lot bigger than 93 units.
It's amazing. And what I'd like to do when we ground break for that, I would like to have some of those pads at elevation and get one of those telescopic booms. We'll take people up
and say, that would be a good idea,
so they can actually see what they'll see.
Hey, Joe,
it's gonna blow your mind.
Do me a favor, go get your drone, go put it up, please, in the air, and give me 43. Well, no, what would you kind of, where do you think your head would be?
Well, that's the whole problem. You're going to be 43 minus 9.
Okay, so what was that? So it's 35.
It's going to be more than that. It's going to be 43.
34.
Yeah, it's going to be 43 minus like 15, probably minus 15.
Because of the pitch?
Because of the pitch.
Okay, so go down and so do that. Go pop it up there and let's go, dude.
When you got nothing to do. Yeah.
I want to see what that would look like from up there. I think we have an idea. We kind of messed around in the past.
That's pretty fun.
But it would be nice to see what that would look like once the gym goes up, because the gym's going to be up on top of the hill, man. I mean, it's going to be huge.
Be gorgeous.
So, yeah, and and we'll kind of close it up here because we've been going for a good time here. But the gym, I think, is going to set the tone for what people can really understand and believe, the type of finish work and what we're going to try to do ultimately with the residential, because obviously the gym's going to be built first. Yeah,
I think so. Listen, the Paradigm brand is quality. It just is. I resonate with that because that's my life. I believe in quality. I think it's a standard that we all need to keep. It means something more than just building a product that people want, but build it well. Give them a really good product. You and I were having that conversation earlier about value engineering. Where does the liability of cutting a corner lie? It actually only goes to the final user. They end up inheriting whatever we skimp on. So our quality standard is high. We want to do a really good job, not only in our design, but in our construction work. And Paradigm's brand will just continue to move forward because of nothing else, that we just build really great products.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I like the kind of rabbit hole we went down, using HVAC as an example, trying to cut corners. You're going, okay, well, we can go get a different brand, but if that brand goes out, we have to just scrap the whole thing. And therefore we're the ones that, in essence, insure it. Yeah. And so, and we have to warranty it. Right. So that's the problem that people, I think, go, okay, well, either most developers push that liability over to the end user.
They all do, because cheap means profit.
Yep.
Yeah. And while profit is certainly one of the most important things that we want to focus on, we can't do it at the expense of the end user.
Well, and this, not everybody's got social media. So this is also a referral source area. Your reputation is everything. So if you're cutting corners and people start talking, they're cutting corners over there, they're doing this, that's going to spread. So therefore your buyer's pool is going to shrink.
It will.
And then you have more liability at the same time. It's really more risk to do it that way. I would rather build volume and take less margin, but protect the brand and protect the all parties involved, all that.
And if you have that attitude, you protect the quality of the product first, and then your margin second. That always will result in a high quality product that people respect. Yep. And that just pushes you further down the road.
I agree. Well, thank you. So Dennis, I appreciate it, buddy. I don't want to take too much time. We have gone perfect time. Okay. So I really appreciate it, buddy. I think we'll get a lot of feedback from this, because this obviously gets spread out to every one of our platforms, including all our existing clients. And if people have any questions, feel free to just respond back to whatever you find, whether it's a comment, DM, email, and we will go into more depth. Or if you want us to do this again and talk on maybe one thing very specific, let us know. Yeah. We try to cover a ton of ground and just kind of give everybody an overview of everything we were doing, and try to see if you guys get some takeaways from it. So Dennis, thanks for joining me, buddy.
My pleasure.
On to the next one. Yeah. Have a good one.